Good evening, everyone. If you can hear my voice, can you put it in the chat box, please? That we can hear. I can hear you. All right. Thank you. Okay. So let me share my screen. So can you see my screen? Can you see my Anaconda screen? Can you see the Anaconda screen? Please put it in the chat box if you can see that. All right. Thank you. So you're welcome to the Python class. So let me launch, like I said, we are going to be using the Jupyter Notebook. So let me launch the Jupyter Notebook. I deliberately have not launched it because I know some of you, we want to see, okay, how did I launch it? How long it took before it runs? So that is quite normal. So today we are going to be, like I said last week, today we are going to be talking about working with pandas. And I'm going to teach us some operations on pandas. I started with pandas last week. So today we are going to talk more on it. And I will be teaching us on how to read in pandas, how to write pandas, data exploration in pandas, and I will also be teaching us how to select data in pandas. So depending on the time and the time that we have. So to start with, let's click on new and we open a Python terminal. So this is a Python terminal. That's the Jupyter Notebook. Now, I'm not sure I taught you this last week, so I'm going to teach you first. So if you are given a data first, no matter the environment in which you are given the data, either it is you are working on the data, whether it is Pyda or it is Google Colab or anything. So you need to know the working directory. Like I said last week, that hash is for comments, how to get working directory in Python. What I mean by working directory is where is this code? Where is it saving to? If I save this code now, where is it going to save to? So there is a code for that. So all I need to do is to say import OS. What OS means is operating system. So import OS, then I click on enter, and I will say os.get CWD, that is working directory, then I will run it. Import, OS. What I went to write there, I went to write O. Import OS. That's wrong. Import. Let me restart this kernel. I think something is happening to the kernel. Let me quickly restart the kernel. Or probably, let me close this, because there's nothing wrong with the code. Then we start the kernel. Let me start the kernel again. As the kernel restarted, yeah, I don't know why it's not working before, but that is the normal code. So sometimes Python could be funny, but that's the normal code. I don't know why it was giving error before. So if you are experiencing, I think it was good that we saw that. If you do it, just restart your kernel. So OS means operating system. So just said OS dot get CWD, because but I know that that is how to get the working directory. Now, this is the working directory of where this code is running. And how do I get to that? How do I get to that? Go to File, go to your PC. You know, it's saying that user, then local disk, you have users, you have user. So this is my working directory. This is my working directory for this Python code. So what I need to do, I deliberately have not copied my data into this working directory. So what I need to do is to copy my data. I saved my fake data, and this data is fake data generated using Python. So as there is no infringement of copyrights or anything, so it is not a real data. So take note of that very well. So you will copy your data inside the working directory where you want to work. So please take note of that very well. You copy your data inside the working directory that you want to work. So first of all, check your working directory, like I did, import OS. And sometimes you can have errors, like I just showed you. You can see some errors that was happening. Just restart your kernel, close it, open it again, then you get what you want to get. Now, so I have copied my data that I want to use. You know, last week we read Pandas. So import Pandas as PD. So import Pandas as PD. So PD dot read. Now, what I have here is a CSV file. Can you see? Microsoft Excel, comma, separated file. So I am reading in a CSV file. So I will say pd.read CSV. So let me call the variable df. So pd.read CSV. Now, if it is an Excel file, I'm not going to use pd.read CSV. I'm going to use df equals to pd.read Excel. So you have to know the extension of where your file was saved, but the extension here is a CSV file. So pd.read CSV. Now, you need to go and check the name of your data properly. And for you not to make any mistake, because it is case sensitive, just right click and show more options. Do as if you want to rename, copy. Then you know that you will not get any error. Then you have the two inverted comma, then drop it there, and you say .csv and brackets. Now, if it is Excel sheets, pd.read Excel. Most Excel sheets are saved in .xlxx. So you don't go and say .excel, no, .xlxx. And some are just saved in .xlx. So you need to check the extension properly. But this is constant. Read Excel is constant. So let me delete this. So as a good programmer, you need to know how to comment your code properly. So let's give a comment to this. Import pandas, importing pandas for data manipulation. And here in front, you write reading in our CSV file. Now, the reason why you should be commenting your code is because if anybody picks up your code, that person will be able to understand what each function is doing. That is why you need to learn how to write comments on every of your code. So let's run this code now and let's try to view it. So df, so we can see that it has given us like it has run it for us. Now you can see that this is 1000 rows and 11 columns down here. We have 1000 rows and 11 columns down here. Now, for if we now have close to 1 million data and we just want to view just a bit of it, all we need to do is to say df.add, and that will view for us the first 5, just for us to understand the data. So here we have 11 columns, we have ID, we have name, we have email, we have phone number, we have address, we have city. Like I said, they are all fake data and they are not real. So it's calculating this index which is as 11, but they're actually 10. So we have ID number, name, email address, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, country, date of birth, and salary. So this is just like an employee database that we just read in. So we can also manipulate it. For example, if we want to check the first 10, if we want to check the first 10 lines, this is the first 5 lines. If we want to check the first 10 lines, we can say df.add. I can call this df is a variable name. So I can call it any name. Don't forget that. I can call it any name. And to prove that to you, let me even change the name to employee data. So let me run it. And that means we will need to change this as well to employee data. And it will still give us the same thing. Do we see that? Do we see that it has run perfectly? Then this one here again, let me change this to employee data so that you will not say YDF every time. So you can change to anything. It's a variable name. It's not a constant. It's a variable name and it's not a constant. So if you want to check the first 10 lines, all you need to do is to put the 10 inside of this place and run the code, and you will see the first 10 lines. Can you see the first 10 lines now? Now, if you want to check, for example, the information about the data, like you want to know what the column is all about, the data type and everything, all you need to do is to press employee data.info. What this does is like a function. That bracket is a function. So .info, we want to know all the information about the data. So here we can see all the data types. What this means is D type. So we can see that ID is object, name is object, email is object, phone number is object, address is object, city is object, state is object, then zip code is the integer, country is object, date of birth is object, salary is floats. And I think I explained what floats is, which is more or less like because the reason why it is float is because it's a decimal number. So they don't call it decimal in Python, they call it float. And it's not really called string. In Python, it's called objects. So that's that about that. Now, for example, if I want to know the average salary of these employees in this organization, how am I going to do that? For example, if your stakeholder asks you that, can we know the average salary of our employees? Can you get that for us? And you are given the data. How are you going to do that? So employee data, a good way so that you will not make mistakes is just copy your variable name. So employee data dot describe. Now this describe will not only give us the average, it will also give us a lot of things. So now dot describe, now because we only wanted to do for salary, so we have describe salary here. Now I'm not going to type salary, I'm going to copy it from this place, because if I should use a small letter, like I said, Python is case sensitive. If I should use a small letter, it's not going to work. So I will copy that column and paste it here so that I will know that it's not giving me any error. So let's run it now. So you can see it's not only going to give me it did not only give me the average salary. So that means the average salary of this company, like I said, is a fake data, is 59,300. So all you need to tell your boss is, oh, the average salary is 59,300. You don't need all the rest of the decimal. And what if they ask you, all these are minimum? So the minimum salary of any employee of this organization is 11,127. And they can ask you the 25 percentile, the 50 percentile, the 75 percentile. So the highest person that is collecting the highest salary in this organization is 109,923. So the describe have answered for you a lot and lot of questions that your boss might want to ask. All you need to do is, what this is explaining is that if I should copy this alone and run this alone, it's just going to show me the column for salary. So let me attempt to do that now. Now you can see it will just show, it's showing me only the column for salary. So if I want to check only the column, for name, so let me click on name here. All I need to do is to change salary here and change it to name. So there you go. You can see that it's there, the length. So there are no missing data and stuff like that. Now, let's go to, if you want to select more columns, that is, if I want to select two columns, let's assume I want to select the name and the salary together. I want to select it side by side. The name and the salary, I want to select it side by side. How do I do that? I don't want all the 11 columns to appear. So let's try to comment some of the things we have done. Like I said, it's very, very important. So let me go back and try to comment it. So what this is doing, so let me comment up. What this is doing is to print the employee data. Then again, what this is doing is to read, also print the first 5 rows of our data. Then again, what this is doing is to print the first 10 rows of our data. Then what this is doing is to give us more information about our data. Then this one again, what it's doing is to give us more information, give us the statistics about the salary of the organization. Then this is just showing the column employees salary, showing the column employee salary, and the other one is showing the column name. So there you go. Now, like I said before, if I want to place the name and salary together side by side, what do I need to do? So let me copy the employee name. I want the name to come first so that I will look at the name of the person and the salary of the person. Like I said, this is a fake data and the names are not real and the salary are not real as well. So don't read any meaning into it. Don't read any meaning into it. And I'm also saying this because of YouTube as well. So, comma, then I have my salary here. I'll copy my salary and put it here. Now I have two columns, two brackets that is opened. So I have to close it. So then I can run it. So you can see the name and the salary. So I have it like that. I have the name and the salary. And you can also try it with .5 blah 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 .add into bracket 5. You can try that if you are practicing on your own. You can try info if you are practicing on your own. That if you only want to know info about these two columns. So this is to select two columns. This is to select two columns. Now, in selecting rows now by using index, so there's something that we call iLock. What iLock can be used for is for us to be able to select rows with index. So iLock is useful to select rows with index. So iLock is a reserved word in Python. iLock is a reserved word in Python. So for example, if I should, let me give you an example now, and I say employee data dot iLock, and I want to know column 3. Now, if you come back here, I want to know the row 3. This is row 3, isn't it? Elderwood Elizabeth John at gmail.com, phone number, this. If I scroll down, that is what is giving me. Elderwood Elizabeth John, phone number, blah, blah, blah. So if I want to know the last one alone, all I need to do is employee data.ilock 999. The last details alone. So as you can see, this is the last details in the database alone. This is the last details in the database alone. So let me try to comment. So what this does is to fetch so iloc is used for index, is to fetch the third index number. Now, iloc is not going to work if this index number is not there. So take note of that very well. Now, the reason why I did that one that is simple is because iloc still has some other functions that if we have time, I will go into it, that we can still use. So this is fetching 99 numbers. So again, another thing we can do is, if I want to select row, I'm not selecting row 2 alone now, or row 3 alone. If I want to select from row 0 to 10 or from row 0 to 20, so all I need to do is to do it like this. So employee data, iloc, I said 0 to, or let me say 1 to 200, so, or 1 to 20. So this will show all the rows from 1 to 20. Don't forget that numbers in Python start with 0. So I've excluded 0. So that's the difference between head. Using head will include 0 for you. But if you don't want, it will include this first one for you. But if you want the index to be 1, then I'm starting from 1. So it's going to start from Paul Mosley for me now. It's a fake name. It's not a real name. Take note of it. So let's check it out. You can see this is Paul Mosley, which is number 1. And if you go up here, you see Paul Mosley there, which is number 1. So you need to note the one you want to copy, and how you want to use the iloc and why you want to use it. So let me see if we have questions. I still have some things, other things that I want to teach, but so that I will not run past the time and it will not be as if I'm rushing. Is import, not imports. Is import. These guys, I missed the intro for last week. I wasn't added to the platform at that time. How can I get the recorded version? The recorded version is on the WhatsApp. I can resend it again. Or maybe one of the class captain can resend it again for last week. Assuming the data is saved in PDF, how are we going to treat it? No. If you save in PDF, you have to convert it to either Excel, or you convert it to you have to convert it to either Excel or convert it to CSV. What if we have more than one data set? If you have more than one data set, you read in those data sets like that. Please, sir, can we get the soft copy of this code being shared? I will think about that. I'm not sure I can answer it now. Why is it 2 brackets when using employee name and salary? It is 2 brackets because we are using 2 columns together. And that is why it is 2 brackets. It's because we are using 2 columns together. If it's just a column, we'll just use 1. So it's 2 brackets because we are using 2 columns together. And don't forget, that was why I taught list, the bracket for list, tuple, and stuff like that last week, dictionary. So it's because it's a list. Yeah, if you are choosing 3 brackets, if you are choosing 3 columns, it doesn't have to be 3. It doesn't have to be 3 brackets. But it stopped at index 19. No, it's not stopping at index 19. It's not stopping at index 19. Let me go over what I said again. Now, if you look at this, I said this is index 1. This is 1. This is index 1 here. When we said we should check the first 10 of that data, this is index 1. So in this place, I now wrote from 1 to 20. In this place, I wrote from 1 to 20. This is what I wrote. I wrote from 1 to 20. So here, it stops at 19 here. And why did it stop at 19 here? Let's scroll up. And let's check out the first 20 then. So you can see in this place, it's also stopping at Caroline Owen, which is the first 20. So 1 to 20 for this is going to be in Python, is going to be 19. He's not counting this 20 with it. I believe I've answered that question now. He's not going to count it with it. So if I should change this to 21 now, that is, he's just going to count 20 numbers, 1 to 21. So he's not going to include the last one. So if I should change this to 1 to 21, it will just count 20 alone, and we exclude the last one. So as you can see, that is what it does. So did I answer the question now? Let me check. Yes, I will go over the OS again. Yes, Python numbers start from 0, but no, that was not because of that. If you are using this, like that is, if you are using what I've just used now, this iLock, it will not include the last number. So if you want the first 20 numbers, it's just going to be from 0, because Python starts from 0. So it will be from 0 to 20. And so that makes it from 0 here now to 19, which is the same thing that is up there. So it's going to exclude the last one. So that's the way Python does. Some people are saying I should go over the import OS again. I said, press this, import OS, then os.get the working directory. So you know the working directory of your system. And this is C, your local hard disk. Go to users, go to user. I believe that when you see the working directory of your own system, then you should be able to locate it. Then import your data there. Import your data there, and you'll be perfect. So let me continue. Where did I stop? So I stopped at selecting, if you want to select a lot of rows together. Now, what if you now want to select both rows and column together? Now, you know, we are just select, all this is to select rows alone. Let me comment it. You are selecting rows alone. So now, the next step is we want to select both rows and columns. So how do we go about that? If we want to select both rows and column, so all we need to do is to, let me copy this, employee data.ilock. Now, if we are selecting both rows and column, then the ilock will not be there. So it will be .lock. So take note of that very well. So ilock is used to select both rows and columns, while ilock is used for selecting the rows alone. This is ilock. That's what ilock does. So take note of that very well. So if you are selecting rows and column together, now the first thing is you open the square brackets. Now, which row do you want to select? So let's assume that I want to select row 3, then comma. What are the columns that I want to select with it? Let me select like 3 columns that I want to select with it. Always take note when you are copying the columns, is always going to be in a bracket. And if you look at it very well, if you look at what I'm doing very well, for some platform where Python is run, you can use one single bracket, but in Jupyter Notebook, a single bracket is not going to work. A single bracket is not going to work. So let me close this. So what I just did here is that I need row 3 and the email address for row 3. I will tell you where it is needful. So I need row 3 and the email address for row 3. So let me run it. So this is the email address for row 3. Let's go and confirm that. As you can see, that's the elizabethjohnson@gmail.com. It is not it is fake data. They are not real. They are not real at all. It is a fake data. So don't add meanings to it. Now, how this is useful is if you have an employee record that has been sorted and you are told that, can we have the first 20 email and their phone numbers alone? Can we have that alone? Then you can use something like this. So let's assume now we want to combine the email and the phone number together. So if you are combining the email and the phone number together, this is how it goes. So just like we did in iLog, this is also going to come. Okay, let me also include that we are not using just the row 3 alone. That was why I started with iLog. So for example, I need from index 2 to index 15. And these are the columns that I need. I need column email address. So it's going to be 2 square brackets. I need the email address and I need the phone number. The phone numbers are not real as well. So take note of that. So now this is not going to run. The reason why it's not going to run, if I try to run it, is will give error, because I know some of you might make that mistake. It will give error, and the reason why it will give error is because I have not closed my brackets. Let me try to run it now. You will see that it will give me an error because I've not closed my bracket. You can see it's saying that invalid syntax, and the reason why it's saying invalid syntax is because it has not seen the other square brackets. So for every bracket that is open, you have to close the brackets. Invalid syntax. No. Yes. Now, Python will always give you where the error is. And from this place, where my error is was because this is not where I'm supposed to put the comma, and it's showing that. So this is where I'm supposed to put it. So what this means is that, that's a very good one. So what this means is that I need from 2 to 15. That will be a typographical error from me. I don't know why it's giving this. These are not errors. Int object is not subscribable. Why is it giving this error? It should not give us this error. Yes, perhaps you missed a comma. So when you get an error, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. When I was doing it the other time, maybe because I was looking at time, I was rushing. So as we can see, this is, now let me attempt now to add name to it, because somebody was asking the other time that what if we now have, if I want to include 3 columns, is it also going to be 3 brackets? You can see there's no 3 brackets there, but that is just the normal syntax, and you have to take note of that so that somebody will not ask me again and say, how do we do this? So that's just the normal syntax. So what this is doing is to selecting 3 columns from index 2 to 14, because 2 to 15. That is what it's doing. Index 2 to 15. Now for iLock, it will change the iLock is going to change the index number, but for lock, it's not going to change the index number. So that's the difference between iLock and lock. But lock is only used when you want to combine the rows and the column together. That is when lock is used. Let me see if we have questions. How can I download a new Excel? My Excel stopped working. That's not part of this class, sorry. Please provide this command code. I don't understand that question. Provide this command code for our better understanding. Command code. I don't understand. Can that person please possibly try to retype the question? When using both rows and column, must we start with rows? Yes, it has to start with rows, then you move to column. Sir, with the lock included the last number. Yes, I just explained that now. It's going to include the last number. How do we clean data with Python? Don't rush. That's what we will do next week. Don't rush. But first of all, understand this, because if you don't understand this, there's no how you can clean data with Python. There's no how you can clean data with Python. How do you know when to use list or tuple? When it is a data frame, you are using lists. When it is a data frame, you are using lists. Tuple is used for functions. Tuple is used for functions. But when it's a data frame, you are using list because it's a list of something. And that's why we are using that bracket. That's why we are using that bracket. Okay, let me move on. So what if, again, we want to select, for example, if your manager asks you that, okay, can we know the number of people that are collecting more than 50,000 in this organization? How are we going to do that? Can we know the number of people that are collecting more than 50,000 in this organization? So the first thing you have to do is to select the column of salary. Like I said, don't be afraid to make errors. And I deliberately did not prepare this code so that I can make errors and correct them in front of you. So that's to tell you that every programmer still make errors, but when they see the error, they correct it. When they see the errors, they correct it. So now the first thing is to select the salary, the column for salary, because we are interested in the salary, how many people are collecting more than 50,000 naira. That is what your manager wants. He wants to see the data of people that are collecting more than 50,000 naira. And you are the data analyst of that company, so you want to give your manager the answer. So this is how you do it. Employee data, then into bracket salary. Just look at the way I'm avoiding some errors, and that is why I'm going to the column in itself and copying the column in itself. So copy salary. I could say I want to type it, but I want to avoid that error of typing. So I will close my brackets, then greater than 50,000, then close the brackets. So let me call this variable as employee. Now, when you are naming your variable, ensure that you don't have space. Let me do something now. You will see that it's going to give me error. Employee earning above, because some people will go and do that and they will feel like it will now this is going to give me an error, and I will tell you why it's going to give me an error. So let me run it, but I am 100% sure that it's going to give an error, and I will tell you why. You can see invalid syntax. The reason why it gave an error is because of this syntax. And why? Don't leave a space. So if you can leave it, you can put it like this. Don't leave a space beside it. But this will not show you, this will not show that you're a good programmer, because somebody reading your code will feel like, I can't read this thing properly. So that is why we use an underscore. So you put an underscore, employees earning above 50,000 naira. Employees earning above 50,000 naira. If you still flag an error, don't be afraid. We will solve it. And that's why we are here in this class. So no error. Then, so what this is doing is to print employees earning above 50,000. The employees that are earning above 50,000. So let's print it out now. So you can see that means that 584 people are earning above 50,000 naira in this organization. It's also a fake organization. So don't read any meaning to it. So if your manager now asks you that, okay, how many people, what's now the average salary of people that are earning above 50,000 naira? What will you do? You will also come and use what? Describe here. And don't forget that we have changed the variable name. So you will come and use describe. I'm telling you how some of these functions are useful and where you use them, so that I'm not just teaching theory. That's why I'm telling you how you are going to use it. When they ask you some of these questions, you know that yes, it's described that I'm going to use. So if they ask you that, okay, I need people that are earning above 50,000 naira in this organization, and can you please inform me the average their average salary? So you can see, so this is the average. The average of their salary is 80,000, and the number of people is 584. The number, this is the 25 percentile, the standard deviation. This is the minimum. This is the minimum. The minimum is 50,010, and the maximum is, that means the highest person collecting salary is still 109,923. Let me see if we have any question before I move to the last one. I need Excel to work on my Power BI and Python. That is why I'm asking, sir. Yes, go and download. Excel is online. 365 is online. Go and download it. How do we launch Jupyter book? I saw console, Python, and it didn't look like your segmented interface. If you are using MacBook, it's easy to launch, but you will need to press some things on your terminal. But it's still easy to launch if you are using MacBook. Maybe I will send a link on what you need to press on your terminals if you are using MacBook for it to work. But if you are using Windows, it's easy. Just when you have downloaded Anaconda, open the Jupyter Notebook. And when you open the Jupyter Notebook, you will see it there. And just launch it the way I've launched it. Why the empty bracket is a function. The empty bracket is a function. It denotes function. It denotes function in Python. I've explained that is what it does. Sir, will you share this fake data with us to practice? Yes, I will share the fake data. Please shed more light on the variable where you wrote employee twice. Yes, I will shed more light on that, because that's why I didn't want to move fast. Now, the reason why, so let's go back to this. Yes. Now, the reason why we did this is because this first one is a bracket. The one I highlighted now, that is showing the column we want to, the column salary that we are working on. Now, because the data is, the variable is employee data, you know, if I need this column alone, when we wanted to look out for employee salary the other time, I said all we did was to use this alone. Now, if we cannot just say employee data greater than this, than 50,000, that is not going to work. So we still need this data incorporated into this, which is the variable. Now, greater than 50,000 in the brackets. So it's because of these numbers that is involved here, which is 50,000. So first here is explaining that this is my column. So in this column, everything that is in this column that is greater than 50,000. And this is the variable name. Do you understand it now? And that is why it's like that. So it cannot, because it's a list. Don't forget, that is why I started with lists. This is a list of what we are doing now, is a list. So anytime we are working with lists and you want to filter, put it at the back of your brain that you are going to have more than one bracket. And that was why I started last week with a list. I could have not taught you list at all. That was why I started last week with a list. So anytime you are working with a list, put it at the back of your brain and you are filtering that you are going to have more than one bracket, because it's a list. And that was why I explained lists last week. What if we want to print column of two different data sets? I don't have two different data sets here now, so I cannot explain that. If you are printing I have just one data set. So if you are printing from two different data sets, the same principle works. It's still the same principles. And that's how it works. You are still going to copy what the variable name that you use to name that first data set and the second data set and combine it together. If I have two data here, I will practice it for you. So now, remember that I said what your manager needs is the data. So how do you now copy this data? How do you save this data for your manager and send it to your manager? That these are the people that are earning more than 50,000 naira. So all you need to do is to save it into CSV. So how do we save